All right, day 36. Uh, Yesterday was pretty short, mostly like a planning day. I've done a little bit of planning off camera, but not much. I gathered together all the ways that we're like the current implementation of environments because the way I'm doing it right now is just storing everything on disk. Sorry, I'm storing everything in the file system is like this weird, goofy pathing of like which environments linked to which uh, capability bundles, and that's just gotten strange. It belongs in a database, someplace where I can say, here's a skill, here's how it's bundled together, here is um, like the, all this, yeah, how it's bundled together, um, where it came from, like who the publisher of the skill is. Um, so I'm going to think through that and do that. Still in Japan. That's my great, great, great grandfather in law. I've had the AI put together a bunch of notes on like how everything works so far, just to remind myself of how everything works so far. And I'm just dumping ideas. I'm still kind of at that phase. But here's kind of what I've come to. Like, whenever it's time to work on something that's meaty, I've taken to sticking it into its own directories inside the special changes folder. And I have brainstorming and I have like to-dos lists that I create with the agent. Just anything if it's meaty enough, and I'm worried about like overcoming three or four context compactions, I'll stick that here, and that serves as kind of a record of how things have been working. Real green tea. Food in Japan is freaking amazing, by the way. Oh, I miss it so much. For breakfast, I had rice with mentaiko, which is like spicy tiny fish roe, and we also had the big fat red fish roe. I forget what it's called. Not the salmon. That's kind of orange. We had salmon though, and pickles, something else. Mm mm mm. Read. If the bundle of capability is from the public, then it's not necessarily to be trusted quite yet. So we have to make sure that we allow the user to see everything that's in the bundle, the skills, MCP server, just whatever that means. And whatever they've laid eyes on and approved, those text files get hashed, and that becomes part of the approval. And if that text changes, then we have to make sure we reapprove. User enters environment that has capabilities. The capabilities could be from their personal capabilities that they have attached to this environment, which never need to be reviewed. Surely they trust themselves. But it could also come from third-party bundles. And so for every bundle, it's going to be where it came from, like the publisher, where it is stored, like which environmental repository, which currently is only two, their personal one or the canonical Rook one, but eventually it could be other repositories, I guess. The hash of the bundled content that all the skills and stuff that we're making the user approve, which of course if it's your personal stuff it won't have that or need that. The environment decision, maybe that goes in this table. I have to move it from its current table, but like and it's not really an environment decision anymore, it's like a bundle decision, but it's like, has the user approved for this stuff? Ooh. It will also need to have the approval date and maybe the time to revalidate that the bundle is still what we think it is, because the publisher might have updated it. Let's stick a bundle version in there too. I'm kind of thinking ahead too far, but maybe they'll have versions. Sure, why not? They'll have versions. If it's not yet time to recheck and revalidate the content, then we just look at the environment decision. Sorry, the bundle decision. The bundle decision can be always approve or always reject. That'd be stored in the database. If it's always reject, then we don't have to if the bundle decision is approved, then that entire bundle gets injected into the agent. It's still an open question as to what a bundle can have in it. So, and how to inject that into an agent. But basically, we're going to shut down the agent, add its skill to its skill directory, and add the MCP servers, add all its stuff so that when it wakes back up, it has them there. And that's, of course, going to rewrite its prompt. Shogunai. Gosh, I can't start doing that. Speaking Japanese, that's that means oh well. I think the way this works, this will work, is we take the agent and stick them into a temp directory, or maybe it's not even a temp directory. It could be a persistent directory, but it's not something that users should typically lay eyes on. And the temp directory, or this agent directory, we'll call it that to be generic, it's going to have all the agentic capabilities in the normal place, like I still don't know exactly what to do with MCP servers. If the skills are the user's created skills, then they're going to be in writable directories. If they are skills that were bundled with some external producer, then it doesn't make sense to rewrite them, so they'll be in read-only directories. That feels sketchy. If it is time to check on the capabilities and refresh them, or maybe this is the first time we've seen it, then we have to go back to the source, which could be an environmental repository, or it could be directly attached to a website. If all of the capabilities have the same hash and the same version number, then we don't have to bother the user again for them, because whatever the user's decision was still stands, their bundle decision. if there is no decision, okay, if there's no decision, do we like cache it locally? Do we load it every single time? Yeah, I guess we cache it locally. But why would we cache it locally if their decision is to not approve anyways? Okay. Then we pull down the data about the bundles, present a bundle request, what we used to call an environment request, to the user. If they approve this time only, then we're not going to save anything. If they approve forever, whatever we call that, then we're going to actually pull all the content that we've just had them review into a local cache of the environment repository, so that we don't have to look up all this information every time we need it. If they reject for forever, then we create an entry for that, but we don't bother pulling down all the data, all of the skills and capabilities, because it doesn't matter anyways. Outstanding questions. What's the new environment repository API? Sometimes we'll need search-like behavior. Sometimes we'll need get-like behavior, or fetch. We need to enumerate all the different types of capability artifacts, such as skills, LLMs.txt. separate investigation going on. If you look through the documents in you'll find where we talk about the different runtimes, the different agent runtimes that I want Rook to connect to. But I don't know if it's even really feasible to connect to all these different runtimes. And specifically, I'm talking about Pi first and foremost, but also maybe search for the common agent runtimes that we might want to connect to. It's going to be a pain to support all these agent runtimes, and maybe I just want to limit my work by only supporting one runtime, and it could be whatever I want it to be, because the special sauce is the location awareness, the environment awareness of Rook, and it's not necessarily the agent runtime. So here's what I want you to do. This is a research task. Make sure to make use of Brave search and fetch tools whenever you need anything. But I want you to look at all the requirements that we have upon the agent runtimes inside Rook, especially around stopping the agent runtimes, restarting them with the usage of the agent client protocol. All agent runtimes have to be ACP compliant. Also, we need the ability to stop the agents and swap out their agent skills, their MCP servers, their instructions right in the middle of a session. So look, search, find a catalog of clients, or sorry, a catalog of agent runtimes we'll likely want to support. Survey the code and our documentation to find the types of behaviors we'll require them to support, and create a document inside that effectively lays out each agent runtime and what it can and cannot support and how hard it would be to work with. If you run into questions, ask me, but use the Macintosh Oh, by the way, this is the first time I've used ChatGPT 5.6 Luna High. I've been using 5.4, and because I like it, actually, 5.6 was one day 5.6 Terra was just constantly stopping work, and I don't know why. So I went back to 5.4, and I like 5.4. It's fine. but 5.6 Luna High is basically as good, and it's cheaper, significantly. It's cheaper than DeepSeek V4 Pro, which is kind of my fallback if I hit a pay window with Codex, with ChatGPT. All right, anywho. We can probably reduce the number of environment repository types, especially if everything is just supported in a database going forward. Okay, after reading your document, I added some notes at the bottom. Read my notes, and then after that section, create a divider, and then um, create a set of the remaining questions. And I'll just start working through the questions, occasionally pulling them out into proper conversation with you. You have not solved this yet. Bullcrap.
Runtime research document is complete.
Holy crap. I'm curious what you had to say. A lot. I don't see why the ACP adapter would need MCP wiring. Basically, the agent runtime can deal with MCP servers however they deal with them. And we don't need ACP to be involved in that conversation. It's up to the agent runtime whether or not it calls tools from the MCP server. But for Rook, it's important to be able to stop the agent runtime and turn on an MCP server and then start it back up again. Hmm? I confused it. This is the least ergonomic desk setup I've ever had. Except for in the airplane 3 days ago. Like this. Alright, whatever.
Research document corrected?
Corrected. I don't know if I like its tone. So what now are the main findings? Is it going to be pretty easy for all the different clients to set up, to stop them, inject skills, MCP servers, functionality, and restart them again with the same context? Just different instructions? How about this? You can see in the code base how I'm injecting behavior into Pi. I think it's with a -E for extensions, and that covers me for skills and just whatever I want. But how would I do that for skills, agents.md, MCP servers? How would that work for Claude Code? Show me, actually in the Claude Code section, show me how to do it in just terse examples. For open code, show me how to do it. For codecs, show me how to do it. Show me in each section, show me how to do it, and make sure to do a lot of online searching to figure this out. It's not an easy thing. You need to research. I don't know if I like that thread. It's distracting. Uh-oh. Jet lag. Just felt it. I think it's a combination of all of these things, because it's the same capabilities in each one. Is there any reason that I shouldn't do that? I think it's a good idea so far. Sort of. One capability cannot belong to multiple bundles without being copied. Oops. A capability would be like a thing. This is a tricky question. Some bundles are going to be behaviors that the user is building themselves and attaching to environments, and those should be completely editable, modifiable in any way you can imagine. But if a capability bundle came from an environment repository or online or something, then it needs to be immutable. The user is not going to be able to change it.
Runtime activation examples added?
We should probably talk to this, but we should probably talk about this, but I was thinking that the primary key for a bundle is effectively the environment ID, the version number, the name of the environmental repository, the publisher's name. Man, this is complicated what I'm doing. Somehow this feels like overkill to me though, so maybe you can help me brainstorm. For example, the MD5 hash and the version number probably have some overlaps. I mean, they are overlapped. But that might be okay. No, but for user generated, capabilities, they'll automatically have a default bundle that I think we're calling personal right now. Whew. Depending on the type of capability, the way it gets injected into the agent session is going to be different. Some are like new instructions. Some are skills. Some things are going to be turned into pseudo skills. For example, I imagine we'll take LMs. Gotta get that going soon. We also need to talk about the instructions that should be injected into the prompt to guide the agent from editing existing skills, joining environments. the join environments thing yet. This is the crux of it. Oh. Where'd I put it? And one thing I'm not sure about is the notion of a bundle name. I think most of the time the publishers will just publish all the skills and everything as just one chunk, one bundle. But some publishers might want to name them, and some others won't. So do we have like a default? The bundle name should be part of the identity of the bundle. It's too complicated. This is too complicated. I'm going to just be redoing this soon. We need to keep track of the content of the capability itself. So if it's a skill, we need to know all the files, and their content, and their nested structure. If it's an MCP server, then that's actually a good question that we should talk about. Like, will we even know when the server has changed? I don't know. We need to brainstorm in more detail about these, though, to make sure we've got all of our bases covered. It would be nice to represent all the skills using the same exact format, but we need to make sure that that's possible. User-written capabilities are never if a user has written some capabilities, then once they're imported, then they will be writable by that user. I'm not going to worry about publishing or sharing user-written capabilities quite yet. If a capability is pulled in from an external environment repository, then it is considered immutable for the time being. Okay. For the time being, Rook can interface with anything that adheres to the we haven't talked about how to get information out of the data store and into the agent runtime, and also if the agent starts editing those files that are associated with capability, we need to get that information back into the database. Keep in mind, all of this needs to follow the layered approach of API, service, service repository data store. Beyond that, it doesn't matter what's behind the environmental repository. Eventually, it could be Git or another service that's addressable by an HTTP API or whatever. Currently, it will be talking to SQLite databases. What's a file extension for SQLite databases? Gosh, will it be? We already have an application database. The environment repository database inside the Rook repo will be a separate database because eventually we'll probably move it to its own repo. And the user's personal repo in 家族が帰りました。
帰りましたよ。ただいま。
おかえり。
Streaming?
Yes.
Oh, cool.
How was shopping?
Cool, good. We went to several stores. Get some fish and seafood, lots of seafood.
That's cool.
Yes. And
Proper seafood.
And Meg got some candies, and Bo got some wallet. They're doing shopping. I'm giving them money, and you do shopping.
Awesome.
And they're learning the coins and how much are they, and look at the prices of the items, and think how, if I can buy this or not.
Aha. It's fun.
Yeah.
Cool.
So, yep.
That's a cool thing about a foreign country. Everywhere is an adventure at first.
Counting money. How much do I
I
have?
forgot
How
to
much
take
is?
my receipt for the snacks.
Huh?
I forgot to take my receipt for the snacks.
Well, you should have. Because if somebody stopped you and said, "Hey, ma'am, you're carrying the item. You don't have. Where's the proof?" Then you can't prove it.
I paid for it. It's in there.
Yeah. So make sure you get the receipt.
Okay.
Learning process.
What?
Oh, I also got the magnesium for you. I couldn't have the pure magnesium. I couldn't find it.
Mhm.
So it's a combination of magnesium, calcium, and vitamin D.
Oh, all right. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
I'll just have all those things.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm good with that. I'm a little bit over caffeinated.
Okay. Love you.
Love you.
The tonight's schedule is still It
Yeah.
depends on the weather. Right now it's dry, but based on the forecast, it'll start raining again in 30 minutes. So
Yeah. All right.
we'll see.
Okay.
頑張って。
Hi. Tonight we were hoping to go to Neputa Matsuri, which is the Japanese Lantern Festival, and it's really cool. They have just giant lanterns that are painted with some of the prettiest stuff that you can imagine, like samurais fighting, and it's really cool looking. Kind of looks like old Yakuza tattoos, kind of that same style. But it's probably going to get rained out tonight. Our next shot is the 3rd. The original source of a bundle of capabilities is whoever wrote it, which might sometimes be the community, it might sometimes be the owner of a website, it could be individual contributors, and I don't have a good way of officially signing their name. So I don't know. We're gonna fake that one for a little bit probably. The repository is the place that stores it, and there will be a canonical Rook repository, like the official one with everything that's approved. But there could also be other repositories as well, just other people that have started collecting environments. And really, the official repository and the user's local repository, those are two different types of repositories. Two different repositories. Not, they will be kind of the same type, but publisher and source, maybe I'm conflating. I'm not sure what the distinction you need there. They're the same thing as far as I'm concerned. The cached local copy is going to be a repository. Hey, dude.
Hi.
Was it fun?
Mhm.
Where are you going?
In here.
Why?
Have a hole on the leg.
Oh, be careful. Do you need help?
Nope.
Okay. It will house the user's created capabilities, but also stuff from offline that they've cached locally. And I guess it'll house the decisions of whether or not we want to permanently accept this or not. Also, I said something different earlier, but if the user doesn't decide to permanently accept something, then maybe we still want to cache the content so we don't have to look it up again. I don't know. Publisher supplied. I think maybe let's cache it before approval. It's not gonna be that much, right? I don't know how you detect remote changes without actually downloading the content. The content hashed is what determines whether there's a change. So we must always download the content in order to determine if it's been changed. Different hash means different content. One of the challenges of this project we're getting into right now is it's huge. There's a lot of decisions to make. So let's figure out how to stage it so that we can do it in chunks and make sure we do the most important stuff first and clearly detail what we're going to delay for future work. If a source disappears or becomes unreachable, the user is still free to use their cached content. And for now, we won't worry about notifying the user, maybe in the future. If the content provider offers different content for the same version, then that is a violation, and at some point in the future we should reprimand them for that. But for now, oh well. See above where we talked about the full identification of a bundle. That includes the publisher, the environment, maybe the bundle name. And we need to reapprove if anything has changed. So if the hash is different for that specific bundle, we need to reapprove. Approval applies to a bundle. Not an individual capability, not a complete environment, not everything associated with a publisher. My gosh, it was verbose. I think need to make sure we clarify the data layout in the table. Actually, it might be a good idea to go ahead and break up this into chunks, because I'm already feeling a little bit overwhelmed with the size of this. It might be good to figure out what we can do first. Bundles, approval is scoped to bundles, not individual capabilities. And like you said, it should be a bundle version, which should correspond to the hash for that bundle as well. MCP servers should fall into the same approval flow. But I'm not sure how transparent they are in terms of the tools they provide. Maybe that's something we should talk about, like, can we instantiate the MCP server and get a listing of its tools, etc., and cache that text. This differs from types. For skills, then the skill directory downward, every piece of content is going to be hashed, and I guess we use something like a Merkle tree style hash. For llms.txt, then the full text of llms.txt. Oops, it always gets that one wrong. Needs to be hashed. And that's generally a good rule of thumb. Whatever is going to be injected into the agent runtime's context should be cached. Should be approved. Should require approval. Again, anything that the agent anything that is injected into the context, that's the type of stuff that needs to be approved. Other metadata that doesn't go into the context does not need to be approved. This probably indicates something about how the manifest files for each bundle should be organized. Maybe there's a section for what's directly injected into the agent and another section for other stuff. But like what? What other stuff? Ugh. Man, you're so smart. Let's not worry about this for now. Worst case scenario, we have to reapprove all the bundles that we've already approved, but that's not a big deal yet. User author capabilities will bypass approval forever because their provenance will remain personal. There's currently no way for a user to publish their capabilities, so we just don't even have to worry about this right now. Approve once and ignore apply to the current session only. We haven't really talked about the user experience, user interface changes that are implied by some of the work that we're doing. Hopefully not much right now, but like reapproval or changing um, the bundle decisions would require some updates to the UI. Please take a look at our naming scheme for these decisions. I'm not sure what we use. This is one thing that we'll keep as it currently is in code right now. Man. Whew. It's taking forever. I need a mental break. Which agent runtimes are you investigating? Use cursor and flu as well. mean, typically, there it will look like a one-to-one mapping. If the active capability bundles have skills, then those skills will be dumped into but for lnms.text, we'll probably wrap them in a pseudo skill. Probably everything will be represented in the skill. This is a good question. I was thinking about creating a special rook user and then giving them read access. Ooh. Ugh. Yuck. One challenge with what I just said there is that the agent will need to rewrite some of these files. So if we dump all of the details into the agent's when a file is written to, we need to keep track of this feels very complicated. I wish there was an easier solution. Mm-mm-mm. same as last question, but we probably need to discuss it if it's complicated. It seems like it is. Dang it, that will happen. This could happen. What happens if the agent edits a capability while its upstream source is changed? Imagine a user has two sessions running, both incorporating the same user-defined bundle. If the user edits the capabilities from one session, then they won't be visible in the other session without extra work, and I don't know if we want to do something complex. So maybe we just let it go. But if in that other session the user also updates the same capabilities, then maybe we reject the write. This gets complicated. Maybe we would want to make that file no longer editable for that agent. In the second session. But this is tricky. So did you also update the research itself and document it in that file? I don't know what generated runtime files. Oh, no, I guess I do. The generated runtime files are generated from the content in each bundle. And so we only need to hash the content that's originally in each bundle. Each session has a working directory. One per session. Each session, there we go. Repeating the above, but we need to talk about it and figure out how to query the MCP server to figure out what is going to be injected into the agent at runtime, and that's what we're going to hash. I will need your guidance here. I think the permissions should work across all sessions. It's kind of like using cursor. Once you've authed into the MCP server, it doesn't matter how many sessions you have, you're still authed in. We will pull in the text from that file, cache it locally, and use that for the hash content. Repeating my answer from above, we'll just wrap it in a skill so that the contents of the skill has all of lms.txt. But if you know of any other way that's better, then tell me. Maybe there's some better way of doing this. No, a live URL is the place to get the asset, I think. I'm not sure it made any sense. We'll have to shape this into a more mature API, and I want to see the API signatures we come up with. This is very important to me. But here's the types of behavior that we'll want. We will want to list all environments, search for environments, search for bundles based on its environment, its publisher, its environmental repository, or maybe even based on text associated with it. We will want to fetch the content for a bundle, and really there's a couple ways that we want to do this. One is we want to fetch the content for a bundle that we are going to present to the user in order to make their bundle decision of approving it or rejecting it, etc. But also we need to fetch the content for a bundle, or really fetch the content for a set of bundles when we're about to inject that content into a working directory for a session, an agents directory. I think that's it for now. This is too big. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to finish answering these 51 questions and say, okay, I've answered your questions. Let's keep going and figure out what we're going to do. And it's going to come back and ask me another 50 or 100 questions, because this is getting bigger. Hopefully I can subdivide it into pieces. But I'm afraid each individual piece is just not going to be a useful component moving in the right direction. It kind of needs to be everything at once. We should have a search for environments and a search for bundles. And those two searches should be different API endpoints. Maybe later we can also introduce searches for capabilities or publishers, but not yet. I don't quite know what you mean. Also, when we search, yes, there will be one logical repository. But you'll be able to search based on which environment repository the information is coming from. So you can like look for just personal bundles. And when fetching, we'll fetch the cached version first, unless it's time to revalidate it. And at that point, we'll look at the upstream environment repository or the website or wherever we originally got the data from. We need to flesh this out, but there is going to be maybe we call it the bundles database, although I've been calling it environmental repository database, so I don't know. But there will be a table for bundles. There will be a table for capabilities. There will be a join table so that you know which capabilities are associated with which bundle. I think the bundle table can hold the metadata associated with all the capabilities, but also maybe that should hold the decision as well. I think that the capabilities table should hold the content that's being hashed, and it's going to be forgetting a word. Variadic. I think this is stupid. In traditional object-oriented programming, what do you call it when you have a subclass that acts like a different version of the parent class? So an animal class, and then subclass of dog and subclass of cat. There's a word for this. Polymorphic. So that we can store the content of a skill and also store the content of MCP server stuff and also store LLMs.txt, etc. That one always fails. Ooh. Oh, here's a big one that we haven't talked about yet, is sometimes the environment is a directory, and that directory might, for example, report uh-oh. a lot of freaking text. Ugh. Getting close. What's that even mean? I don't know what you mean here. I don't know what you mean here. We're still trying to flesh out what goes in the manifest, but so far there's 3 things. There is a short human readable description about what this bundle does. Optionally, there is sometimes the contents of this bundle is really just a pointer to where this bundle is defined in a project. For example, imagine a coding project that already has its own also, how do we keep this content separate from Also, how do we keep this content separate from... Maybe don't. I don't know, gosh. Quit thinking too hard. In the future, there will be other things to stick here. I like the idea of sticking metadata here associated with discovery. I like the idea of sticking metadata here for display. I don't think we'll need dependency declaration because the idea of a bundle is everything in it is associated with everything else in it. That's why it's accepted or rejected as a whole. The manifest is publisher authored. Maybe eventually we stick repository authored contents in there as well, such as like information about the review process that it went through or something. The manifest should include the version. There is no need for the manifest to declare capabilities because the actual capabilities associated with that bundle declare themselves. Good enough. We won't worry about that for now, but in the future we'll have an internal validation process to make sure that the bundles aren't doing prompt injection stuff. There's no notion of publishing for personally created, personally we'll consider that in the future. Holy crap, finally. Alright, so I answered your questions in line. You should reread the document starting from line oops, I guess I didn't know where to do that. Oh no, I did do that. That's me. also read after our questions some more notes that I've made. This is becoming a very big chunk, and so I'm a little bit overwhelmed. I wonder if we can start thinking about smaller projects that we can do that stack and ultimately end in getting all the functionality we're talking about here. But ideally, those smaller chunks are working and we don't go through a state of brokenness. But that being said, I don't want to have a lot of continuity code or something so that two things work at the same time, because that'll just cruft up the code base. Man, that was a lot of content we just did. Hope it didn't suck. Hey, why is my picture so small? I hate when it does that. It's been that small the whole time and you haven't told me about it. Checking on some stuff. Alright, what'd you do? Alright, so it read the whole file. How long have I been sitting here? Not so bad. Capabilities do not belong to local bundles. Oh man, I think jet lag is probably catching up with my brain. I'm tired. But it'd be nice to make code progress rather than chatting with my agent. Okay. Got 7 projects. Shoot. I like that actually quite a bit. Alright, Project 1. Define the new database model without changing runtime behavior. I like it. Project 2. Import the existing file system repository into SQLite. I like it. Project 3. Switch the canonical and personal repositories to SQLite. But Project 5. Handle user written content. I think your ideas are pretty good here, but there's one aspect I'd like to talk through. Right now, when the data store directly corresponds to the file system, then we can instruct the agent, and we are currently instructing the agent to read from those files, and when it's user defined, to write to those files. Hey, sweetie.
Hi, Pops.
I like your hair. It's cute. How was the shopping? Fun. That's a boring explanation.
That was about it.
I'm streaming.
Well, hi there.
Hello, dear.
Hi.
How was your time in Japan? Why don't you tell our international audience?
What do I say?
日本語で答えて。
楽しかった。
それは一つの言葉。もっと言って。今日はどこに行きましたか？
スーパーマーケットに行った。そして、おやつを買った。そしてお土産。
そうですか。何を買った？食べ物で何を買った？私は今晩食べるから楽しみにしたい。
いくらを買って、
いくら？
知ってない。
冗談。
そして登るがソフトクリームが買って。
姉ちゃんはソフトクリーム食べなかったの
1個バイ
一口
食べたな。
お、美味しかった？
そしてLove you. Oh, this thing spins.
Yeah, I know. I'm not sure it's supposed to spin. I think if I keep spinning it, like eventually it'll just fall off on the floor. I think it's a screw. Or it'll like get tight and quit spinning at all.
I love you.
You too. Hey. Oh, okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah, so that get a little bit out here.
Yeah.
It helps, I think. Yeah. And I closed that door so we're not heating the entire upstairs, just this little space extra, hopefully.
I wonder if we put it here and like make it like come out.
This is not bad. I feel fine right now. And it's out of the way right there.
Than usual.
Yeah, and it's out of the way right there. Mostly. It's not out of the way for the bathroom, I guess.
I don't know how much memory that watch has though, but if you use it up, then you got to work on deleting.
Oh, see, he's recording videos to the watch.
Yeah.
Well, this one says that I need to get five. I need to get five. I need to get five followers on what circle to unlock new emojis, and I want to use those emojis.
You don't have any followers. You don't want followers.
Yeah, I'm trying to make followers.
You can't.
Let me reread it.
It's not connected anything online, bro. It's only connected with me, and I'm only one.
It's connected to my two.
Then that's two. That's it. The bottom line is hold on to the memory. They're deleted really fast.
Yep, I made friends.
Yep.
And rainbow poop. Rainbow poop.
ボル私はストリーミングだよ。
Okay.
気をつけて。Alright, handle user isn't written content. Project 5. Random facts are more likely to become Project 6, improve capability specific materialization. Blah. Just telling how to turn everything into what we want. I think when creating the agents .md file for the working directory, I will just show in that file where the text came from. Something like this. Project 7, revisit the API and the UI. Yeah. Yep. Yep. creating the sub user that has different read and write capabilities is complex, then a different way that we can do it is to swap out the write and edit tools to make our own version of them that would neatly handle the different files different ways. But this has its own problem in that different agent runtimes will not allow me to replace those critical tools with my own version of them. So we might be limited to just Pi if we do that, which might be okay. Just leave it for. I very much agree with your list here. We should probably take note of that soon. Okay. How about we do this? Mm. You know when dinner's happening?
No.
Now?
No.
Oh. What you doing? You reading?
I finished.
You finished the book?
Yeah.
You were halfway done with it earlier.
I know.
What's next? You're gonna run out of books. Thank goodness you brought your Nook, your Kindle, right?
No.
Yep, thought not. You're gonna have to write another book.
It'll be fine.
Okay. Guess what? I've been sitting in this chair too long, so yep. I wonder why it had to reread a file that it had just written, presumably. Alright. I just scratched that together. I want something a little bit better for an agents.md. Note that it's not really an XML file. It's just a sort of pseudo markdown file that includes pseudo XML tags, kind of like what I've got here. Um, I probably need better tag names themselves. I'm not sure if the agent should see the environment ID. Maybe it should just see the environment name, which is more like a human readable string. Um, and then part of the information that we're going to give it typically will also include like websites and stuff like that. So there might be, different tags instead of just information inside of or whatever we call that tag. There could be a like, oh, and maybe we should have a little bit of hierarchy here too, because for each environment there's probably gonna be multiple bundles, so maybe we need like 3 levels instead of just 2. Let's talk in chat here and come up with something good. Give me an example of what you got in mind. Just hit me with it, and that's it. Just bam. Hit me. Hmm. Remove all machine readable IDs such as the environment's ID and the bundle ID. And the version. Get rid of the publisher. We don't care about that either. The agent should not be bothered with information that it cannot make use of. Yeah, I like this. This is good. So update the FAQ with that. Change that bit in our brainstorming document too. Ooh, it had to look for it again. I was curious about that. Wow, that's interesting. The agent knew that it had lost context with the brainstorming document. It decided to look for where the information was. It decided to read that swath of text, and then it decided to edit it, and it got it correct. Pretty neat. All right. Good enough. Oh yeah, decisions. Okay, now create a very, very, very high level to-do list. Based on our conversation. Use brackets for your to-do list bullets so that as you work, you can mark them as complete. For the sub to-do list, just make a note at top that this is a placeholder for now. And as we get ready to start on each chunk of this project, we're going to flesh out the details because we will have learned more by that point. Nope, you completely misunderstood me. Nope, you completely misunderstood me. In the to-do markdown file, I want you to set up basically a small set of bullet points that correspond to our projects that we had agreed upon. And then don't make a chunks.md, but make a separate file for every one of those projects. Try again. It's probably good. Do you still feel that this is a good high level to do, or is there like any intermediate things that we should worry about here? All right, GPT 5.6 Luna. It's the first time that we're taking you to Tango. Man, okay. Git commit what we've got right now, because I think it might be a good save point. But then after you git commit, modify the to-dos as you discussed. Checking stuff. Checking social media. Seriously. Oh yeah. It's 2:50 in the culture that I'm used to checking social media. 2:50 a.m. because I'm in Japan. So man, Microsoft is killing it.
To-do order revised.
Still gotta go up 11% just to break even this year though. okay, git commit this as well, because later I want to preserve the modification we just made. But then after that, oh, also, do each one of our projects here have some sort of demonstrable thing? Should I ask you to complete everything all at once, or is there any like pause points that we want to put into our to-do list so that you can have me check on stuff and make sure I like it? Hey, sweets.
Dinner time?
Yeah, you don't have to do like that.
Yeah.
You don't have to do like that.
Dinner time?
5 minutes or 0 minutes?
Well, soon minutes.
Okay. I want to get this guy cooking
Cook it.
so that he'll do my work and I don't have to think. Oh, are we? Are we gonna get rained on the whole time?
I hope not. If the weather is good. But seems like for now. So we're getting ready.
Okay. We have yukata? I do.
Oh, the kids. Yeah, you do. You wear it.
Are you gonna wear yours?
I don't think I have mine.
Oh, you didn't even bring one?
No. It's okay.
Okay. Alright, I'll be right down.
When you're hungry, don't wait for you to start eating.
Okay, I'll be right down real soon then. You heard that, folks. Dinner time, and tonight it's going to be some sort of raw fish. I live in Nashville. The best sushi we have in Nashville is like raw catfish, just not as good. All right. Was it a good day? I just like asked a lot of questions and answered a lot of questions. I feel like I've thought through it a lot better, but I found out the project that I really think is the next thing we want to do is just like one chunk. And it's a big chunk, and I don't have, like, my agent thinks it's broken it up into pieces, but I don't think I believe it. So, we're gonna see. But it was a good day. Alright, see you guys later.